The AST Voltson Super Trucks returns to the town of Garrettsville, Ohio, where for the only time in the 2021 season, we will be going road racing. We're at the Nelson Ledges Road Course, the 2-mile club circuit, which is the only venue to have ever hosted a road course race for this series. Nelson Ledges is a fun, fast, and deceptively tricky circuit to navigate, especially for most of the racers of the Super Trucks, who are predominantly short track racers by trade. And taking the pole position for the event is not only a short tracker, but a dirt track racer at that. Juan Cortez is on the pole for the second time in his career, and the second week in a row. That strong run and second place finish from Toledo is surely boosting that team and their spirits, and they have done it again here at Nelson Ledges. But it's the outside pole sitter, Andy Piper, in the 13 truck, who's going to charge into the lead on the outside as the field pours into turn number 1. Truck number 70, which is sporting a different livery this week, follows him through into second place. We will get to that livery in a moment, but Piper assumes the lead of the race and attempts to open up a lead over the rest of the field while they are busy battling fiercely with each other in the lap 1 mad dash for positions, everyone trying to get them while they are still cheap. Piper is being pursued closely, however, by that number 70 truck, which is not being driven by Danny Richards Jr. today. This is team owner Anthony Griffith, back in the Super Trucks for his team's home race here at Nelson Ledges, and sporting the colors of Bummin Beaver Brewery, which is also sponsoring today's race. The Auburn Township Company having invested a lot of support into the Ohio racing scene in recent years. Griffith in second place and gunning for the first win of his career. He's been here a couple times in the past, but has finished third in both of those attempts. And his young teammate, the full-time racer Danny Richards Jr., don't worry about him, he was not made to sit out the race. He is in a second truck for the team, it's the 07 today. And he has just cleared Juan Cortez for third, so that team now running in 2 of the top 3 positions on track. Dale Clow, another one of the owner drivers in today's race, on the other hand, is not having nearly as much fun as Anthony Griffith is, as he's going to overdrive the carousel and plunge into the tire barriers on lap number 2, taking himself out of the race in the process. That's the 3rd DNF on the season for Clow already, and surely not the way that he was hoping to start his Super Trucks tenure after moving over from the Fark Truck series. Back towards the front of the field, Juan Cortez still holds down the 4th position, but he is under attack from Caitlin Holt in the number 83, who is off to another very strong start in today's race. She's had 3 consecutive top 10s to start off her Super Trucks career, and is looking for her 4th today, well on her way to doing so with a decisive pass into the braking zone. Matt Jacobs and Brian Kelly run right behind Cortez now, and the 2 Team Michigan trucks are doing battle right behind them with Danny Vigo. Vigo, of course, a former winner here at Nelson Ledges, with Jason Miller, Wilson Timothy, and Alex DeFranco running just behind these drivers. Timothy, your race winner from Toledo last week, of course. And a bit further back in the field, we have a couple of trucks that we have not seen in a little while here in the Super Trucks. The 23 of Darren Gale and the 65 of Nicole Karski are making their second starts of the season. Both of them were at MIS, where Karski was involved in a very early crash, so it'll be nice to see her get a chance to show what she's got today. And Gale, of course, finished that race in 5th. Piper, Griffith, and Richards Jr. have opened up a massive lead over Caitlin Holt and the rest of the field here in the early stages, working together to pull away from their competition. This isn't entirely surprising to see these 3 trucks running away with the lead of the race, as all 3 of them are owned by drivers with strong Master Cup connections. The 13 truck, of course, owned by Casey Lester, so these teams have access to a lot of expertise when it comes to road course racing. And the other reason as to why they have such a massive lead might be what we're looking at right here. Juan Cortez has not been able to pick up the pace after dropping a few positions off the start from the pole. This 95 truck evidently not handling nearly as well in race trim as it was on his qualifying lap, and he is heading a train of many, many trucks, all of which are now swarming him now down the backstretch looking for a way on by. Oh my goodness, that was close! Matt Jacobs tried to stick their nose down to the inside of Cortez into the kink, the fastest part of the track, and nearly caused a monumental accident in the process. The only reason one didn't occur as a result is because Cortez made one of the most impressive saves that I have ever seen in this series. That car was gone and he brought it back anyway. As impressive as it was, though, it hasn't solved his problem of not being as fast as all the trucks who are running behind him, and Brian Kelly is going to sneak down to the inside of Oak Tree and finally get around the 95 truck, sort of opening the gates, if you will, for everyone behind him to follow him through as Matt Jacobs goes on by, as do the Team Michigan teammates of Danella Jacobson and Amberly Weiss, these two having been working together, and more contact in the kink between Jacobs and Jacobson this time. The 57 tried to make a move to the right side of Jacobs, but jukes back to the left without missing a beat, and is going to make the pass there. Jacobson seemingly unfazed by that contact, but these drivers are really pushing their luck in the kink, which is something I would advise not doing many more times for risk of finally running out of the luck that they have had a lot of up to this point. Going the other way down the running order, we have Danny Vigo in truck number 8, who spent the early stages of the race battling with the Team Michigan teammates, but he has fallen down outside the top 10, and in fact is sitting right between the legendary motorsports trucks, who have also struggled for pace here this weekend. Vigo, of course, is a former winner of the race here at Nelson Ledges, so this is an especially unexpected run for him, with all the newfound speed that the team has shown so far this season. And in fact, the other former winner in today's race, Brianna Prinzhorn, is running a few spots further behind Vigo, struggling to keep up with the back of the pack, but she's going to overshoot her braking point into the second to final corner and slam into the back of Darren Gale's truck. So that's not going to help matters at all for Brianna Prinzhorn or her team, nor for Darren Gale's, but they will both continue on. The top 3 drivers, in the meantime, continue to hold formation at the front and extend their lead over the remainder of the field, with Andy Piper still leading the way and continuing to impress everybody with this fantastic race, although it may not come as much of a surprise if you consider the top 5 runs he's had going before today. But right behind him, there's a truck off the track into the grass, and that truck is Anthony Griffith, the second place driver. Looking at the number 70 truck, who overdrove the exit of the carousel, going way wide off into the scenery, but keeping it off the tire walls. Griffith did a good job not to spin that truck out, but he is going to lose a ton of ground to Piper and to his teammate Danny Richards Jr., who sweeps on by and into the second position. Looking at the interval between Piper and Richards Jr. now, there's about a second between them, and several seconds now back to third place Griffith. It's a big gap between Griffith and fourth place Caitlin Holt, and an even bigger gap still between her and Brian Kelly, who rounds out the top 5 and leads the remainder of the field, most of whom are still running really closely together. Darren Gale is struggling to hold on to the back of this pack, having fallen off a little bit in terms of pace, and even further behind Gale is the number 26 truck of Alex Robbins. Robbins, the teammate to Andy Piper, is not having, needless to say, not having nearly as good of a race as his teammate is at the front. Robbins had a bit of a recovery run at Toledo, scoring himself a top 10 finish for the first time in his career, but that speed is not carried over here to Nelson Ledges. Amberly Weiss, from the 7th spot, is going to throw her truck off the carousel on the exit of the corner, and we have another truck off behind her, and that one went into the wall. I believe that was Juan Cortez in truck number 95. Weiss is going to lose several positions as a result of that excursion, but Cortez has got it even worse as he indeed hit the tire barrier and sent himself spinning out of control. It was an amazing start to this weekend for Cortez with the second pole position in a row. We've mentioned that a few times already, but the race has completely fallen apart for him now as he drops all the way to the back and way behind the rest of the field. Danella Jacobson, unfazed by the absence of her teammate in her mirror, is going for 5th place on Brian Kelly now. Jacobson gunning for the 3rd top 5 finish in a row as she goes for the championship, but there's contact between the two of them, and Jacobson spins into the tire barriers off turn number 2. Brian Kelly goes flying towards the wall as well. Completely out of control goes the 6. The two of them made contact in the brake zone for turn 2. Jacobson tried to pull up into the racing line as Kelly, I think, was going to try and make a charge to move back to her left side. I think both drivers expected the other one to give way, and that was just a very unfortunate pair of assumptions for both drivers to make at the same time. Brian Kelly has had an absolutely horrible start to this season. He's been very fast, as he always has been, but has been involved in numerous crashes every single race, and with his teammate Wilson Timothy fighting for the championship lead, it must be especially frustrating for Kelly. This race has been running largely cleanly up to this point, up until recent laps I should say, and we've got another crash now, as Darren Gale dives into the tire barriers after overdriving the carousel, and becomes the latest truck to drop out of the race. Andy Piper and Danny Richards Jr., on the other hand, have not put a foot wrong so far today, as they continue to lead the way. Piper has been steadily maintaining his slim lead over Richards Jr., but as you can see from this shot pretty clearly, Richards Jr. has begun to start outperforming Piper in the braking zones. That has allowed him to slowly begin chipping away at that lead that Piper has built up, and by the time we get to 7 laps to go, he is right on the back bumper of Piper heading out of the carousel, and with a good run off the corner, he's going to take it down to the right side of Piper's truck and go for the lead of the race. Side by side down the back straightaway and into the kink at full speed, a decidedly risky corner to go side by side through, but they're going to make it work, and hard on the binders both of them go into the final couple of corners, neither driver able to pull ahead of the other, but they're coming up on the lapped car now of Flip Papadopoulos and truck number 0, who I think has found the wall at some point himself. There's a lot of damage on the left side of that truck, but Piper's going to get stuck behind Papadopoulos, and Richards Jr. completes the pass for the lead. Piper back to second now for the first time since the drop of the green flag, but he wants that lead right back, looking to the inside, and Richards Jr. runs wide and into the grass off the exit of turn number 2, handing the lead right back to Piper, but only for a moment, as Richards Jr. dives into Oak Tree hard on the brakes and takes the lead right back again. Richards Jr. officially on point now and trying to bring Griffith Motorsports the team's first win since Alex Phillips won 3 races and the championship in 2018. Speaking of the team, Griffith himself continues to run in third. He's just cleared Flip Papadopoulos and is slowly closing in on the 2 leaders as the laps go by, but he is going to run out of time to catch up to them at this rate unless he can pick up the pace even further. 4th place still belongs to Caitlin Holt, as it has for most of this race. She has been running perhaps the loneliest race of anyone all year long. There has been no one in sight in front or behind her, but considering that she is in 4th, I don't imagine that that's something she particularly minds. The first truck behind her is now Matt Jacobs, who is rounding out the top 5, but under intense pressure for that position from Wilson Timothy, Amberly Weiss, Jason Miller, and Alex DeFranco, all of whom are trying to get that spot from them. Richards Jr., back at the front, has not allowed Piper to make any other runs at him for the lead, and now they take the white flag to begin the final lap of the race. Danny Richards Jr. concluded the most recent event in this series suspended from the catch fence in turn 3 at Toledo after suffering a horrifying crash that miraculously did not injure anyone. It was the scariest ride of this young man's career, but it has not deterred him one bit. He has been very fast and not made a single misstep all day long, despite having never raced on a road course in his career, as he dips the car into the grass, very nearly spinning himself out on the final lap of the race. Richards Jr. has his first checkered flag at hand if he can just keep it on the road, and he nearly cracked under the pressure there, giving a lot of ground back to Andy Piper, who's closing in even further into the braking zone. But Richards Jr. still has a little bit of a cushion, and I think he's just easing it on home now after that little scare. Coming down the front straightaway and to the line, Danny Richards Jr. is going to win the Nelson Ledges Road Course. We have a number of talented rookies in the Super Trucks this season, but Richards Jr. becomes the first of them to make it to victory lane in only the 4th start of his young career. Andy Piper, another one of the rookies this season, performed outstandingly well today and brings the truck home in a close 2nd place. The Berlin Raceway competitor may have come up short of the win today, but still has much to be proud of. Anthony Griffith finishes in 3rd place for the 3rd time in as many races as he's attempted in this series, all of which have been at this track, putting both of his trucks on the podium. Caitlin Holt finishes in 4th place for the 3rd consecutive race. She has yet to be running at the finish so far in her rookie season without scoring a 4th place finish. Matt Jacobs makes it 4 out of 5 in terms of rookies in the top 5 and brings home the first top 5 finish of their career. Wilson Timothy was right behind them in 6th, followed closely by Amberly Weiss, Jason Miller, and Alex DeFranco, all of whom were running right together at the finish. And running well behind DeFranco, but still rounding out the top 10, is Nicole Karski, scoring her first top 10 finish in only her 2nd start.